Russian air power is largely neutralized from a strike perspective. It's a threat in being rather than a major threat day to day, because Russia still hasn't managed to effectively hunt down and kill enough of Ukraine's mobile, medium, and short-range SA-11 and SA-8 SAM systems. And so they're limited to very low altitude attacks, essentially beyond the front lines, which are then at great risk from manpads, so shoulder-fired manpads, and even anti-aircraft fire. The Russian fighter force, on the other hand, is actually being very effective at the moment. So what they've done is divided Ukraine, the sort of contact areas in Ukraine, up into 8 different sectors, and they have a pair of fighters on combat air patrol in each one during daylight hours. The Russian Air Force is flying about 140 to 160 sorties a day. They're being highly effective at inflicting losses on Ukrainian ground attack sorties, which are attempting loft rocket attacks, same as the Russian Su-25s, as well as occasionally bombing attacks with the Su-24s on Russian positions, because the Russian fighters have both the R-77-1, so we would say AA-12B, but also they're using a lot of R-37 now, so very long-range air-to-air missile from both MiG-31BM, and they've also been integrating it onto some of their Su-35S. And what it means is that with the very powerful radars on both of those platforms, the RUSI and the Zaslon, that can look down and shoot down very effectively from long range against targets flying in clutter at very low altitude, they are able to threaten and regularly shoot down Ukrainian ground attack sorties from far outside the range of any Ukrainian retaliation. If the Ukrainians aren't supplied with additional ammunition for their medium-range SAMs and ultimately replacement systems to start phasing in Western resupplyable equivalents, things like NASAMs, then ultimately the VKS, the Russian Air Force, could start to become a major factor on the battlefield in a way that it just hasn't up to this point in the war. The reason it hasn't is because those surface-to-air missile systems continue to pose a prohibitive threat to Russian sorties at medium and high altitude inside Ukrainian lines. If those SAMs are no longer able to fire, those sorties will come back in again, and we could see a lot more heavy firepower from the air on Ukrainian army positions, but also on cities, on towns, on infrastructure near the front lines.